Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we're going to do the camera review of the Asus Zenfone 5Z. So Asus Zenfone 5Z is the latest flagship device from the company, and this device sports a dual camera on the rear panel and also a selfie camera, which is quite good. So in this video we'll talk about how good the camera experience is. We'll show you camera samples taken with both the rear camera as well as the front camera, both the photos as well as videos, and we'll talk about the photo samples. So let's get started. So first step, let's have a look at the camera specifications. Now talking about the camera hardware. So the device comes with a dual camera setup. It has a primary 12 megapixel camera with Sony IMX363 sensor, 4-axis optical image stabilization, EIS is also included, f-stop 1.8 large aperture, then dual pixel face detection autofocus, 1.4 micron pixels large pixel size, and there is also 4K resolution support on the rear camera. So that's the rear camera specifications. It also comes with a secondary 8 megapixel camera. It is a wide angle camera which can take some wide angle shots. Now the front facing camera on this device is an 8 megapixel shooter with f-stop 2.0 aperture. It also comes with beauty mode and other options, and it is also able to record videos in 1080p resolution. So that's the camera hardware of the Asus Zenfone 5Z. Now let's go straight into the camera interface and see how good the interface is. So opening up the camera interface, you can see that this device comes with a new revamped UI. So at the bottom you can see the regular shots and also the option to take wide angle shots using the 8 megapixel camera. So this is the wide angle camera. You can take some wide angle shots. So we'll come back to that. Now looking at the other interface, you can see if you go to settings, you can see the camera camera resolution is 4:3 aspect ratio. Then we have a watermark option. Then video recording quality is pretty good. That's something really impressive. It has 4K resolution, 4K at 60 fps, Full HD at 18:9, the regular Full HD and Full HD at 60 fps is included. So video recording options are quite good. Now looking at the other modes included, you can see there is a Pro mode included. So in the Pro mode you can see there is option for autofocus, then shutter speed can be adjusted, ISO, exposure, white balance, all these things can be edited in the Pro mode. Now coming back, you can also see there is an option to enable the bokeh mode. So the top portion you can see the option to enable the bokeh mode. Then there is also HDR option, timer shot. And if you swipe here, you can see the additional modes included. You can see Pro mode, GIF animation, time lapse, super resolution, slow motion, and the beauty modes are included. And if you swipe from the right side, you can see some filters are included. Now coming back to the interface, you can see there is option to record videos and also go to the selfie camera. So that's the camera interface. Now the camera has AI enabled, so there are some 16 modes included based on the mode. It actually shows up when you take a photo. Now let's have a look at the samples taken with this device. So here are the daylight captures taken with the Asus Zenfone 5Z, and you could see that there is good details, good sharpness levels, and color reproduction also looks pretty good. The overall clarity of the images looks good for a segment it is being offered at. A slight issue with the camera is the exposure levels. At times it changes abruptly, but it doesn't happen all the time. The phone also has an HDR mode included, and the photos taken with the HDR mode came out well, with great dynamic range but slightly aggressive with color reproduction. The details are also good in the HDR mode. The secondary wide angle camera, that's an 8 megapixel shooter, can take some good images, and this is much better implementation than the telephoto lens or the depth sensor available in few other smartphones. The 8 megapixel camera can also record videos in 1080p resolution with EIS support. Now coming to the close-up images, the camera performed really well with great details and sharper images. The color reproduction was spot on and more closer to the natural colors. Even if you zoom in the images, you could see that the details are really impressive and the noise is kept to minimal. So overall in daylight conditions, the camera performed really well. Now coming to the low light photos. With f-stop 1.8 aperture and large 1.4 micron pixel sensor, the photos were well lit and the noise levels are controlled, and the details in the photos looks good. But at the same time, few images did exhibit aggressive post-processing to reduce the noise, and as a result it looked a bit over-sharpened. But overall, we feel the quality of the photos taken in low light conditions were pretty good. The phone also comes with a portrait mode wherein you can change the aperture values before taking the images, and this is quite similar implementation when compared to the Honor devices. So you can change the aperture values from f-stop 0.95 to f-stop 22, and the depth mode is enabled. While the bokeh looks good in the portrait samples, the edge detection was not accurate and it needs a software update to improve the overall quality. The phone can record videos in 1080p resolution in both 30 and 60 fps, but the stabilization is limited to 30 fps. So here is a 1080p sample and it looks quite good in terms of stabilization, but at times there is a slight lag when moving from one frame to another. The ASUS ZenFone 5C can also record 4K videos in both 30 fps and as well as 60 fps. Here again the stabilization is limited to 30 fps. The 4K sample turned out to be pretty good with good details and clarity. The phone also supports slow motion video and it can record videos in 1080p resolution with 240 fps. Finally, talking about the selfie experience. The 8 megapixel front camera with f-stop 2.0 aperture does a good job with selfie camera, and there is good color reproduction and dynamic range also looks good. There is also beauty mode enabled for this camera. There is also a portrait mode offered for the 8 megapixel front camera, but here again the edge detection was not that great and it needs a bit of fine tuning, and at times you can see that the edges do get blurred, which is not really the best experience. So this is the front facing camera sample taken with the ASUS 5Z. So this has an 8 megapixel shooter capable of recording videos in 1080p resolution, and you can judge yourself how good the clarity of the video is and also the audio output from the video recording taken using the ASUS ZenFone 5C. So summing up, how good is the camera on the 5Z? We would say ASUS has done a really good job with the camera hardware and image processing. While the camera is good in most cases, it needs a bit of fine tuning for portrait modes, both the rear and the front camera. The exposure levels for the rear camera is also a bit wavered, especially in bright sunlight. But these issues can be fixed via future software updates. So we'll be coming with a camera comparison of the ASUS ZenFone 5C with the OnePlus 6 and also the Honor 10. So stay tuned for that. So that was the camera review of the ASUS ZenFone 5C. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. This is Nirmal signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.